Hello and welcome to this card making video. Today I'm going to show you how I hand painted this really pretty Easter card. I'm going to start with some Rareza real brush markers, and these are the colors. The browns are for the cross and the greens are for the leaves, and the rest are going to be for the petals of the flowers. I'm kind of going for a more pastel look. So I'm going to start by smushing the colors onto my palette first, and I literally just color onto the squares, and then I grab my brush and some water, and I'm going to paint some round petals here, and I'm just kind of showing you that process. I'm sorry it's a little far away. I didn't really realize it wouldn't pick up so well because my lighting is, I think, a little too bright. I'm using natural light from my window, and I think it's just way too bright, and it's kind of washing it out a lot. So I'm just doing 5 petals, and I'm going to do the same process for every flower, just changing the size. And I'm taking the darker color and placing it on the inside of each petal, and it just kind of really nicely blends out and gives it that really pretty watercolor look that you kind of see people do. These are very, very simple. And I'm going to switch between doing purple, pink, and yellow flowers. And you actually can't see it, but I did draw out in pencil the cross first. It's very, very light. That's why you can't see it, but I can see it when I'm painting. And I'm aligning the flowers to kind of wrap around the cross. So I do have a pattern that I'm following there. And here I'm doing the yellow one. And you'll see me going with the darker here to kind of give it some depth. And you can really see that I am varying the sizes. So I have some bigger ones, some smaller. So I kind of started in the middle, and then I went down, and now I'm going back up around the top of the cross. So like this one is going behind, so I'm only doing a half flower. And then I'm going to do the same with the purple, but on the other side. So you can kind of see my negative space here a little better. I'm painting this cross for my mom to send to her for Easter this weekend. We have a lot of family traditions for Easter that we're missing out on this year, which is a huge bummer. And I know my mom is especially upset because she started most of our traditions. So it's going to be a tough time for her and my grandkids, or not my grandkids, but her grandkids, my kids especially, because they're going to be missing that time with grandma, which is kind of sad. So I thought this might brighten her day a little bit. And I took my heat gun and I dried that layer. And now I'm going in with some 2 different green tones to make the leaves. And I'm making the leaves pretty small compared to the flowers, and they're just a really simple shape with the like with the fat belly and the bevel tip. I'm not really sure how to explain that. That's kind of the best way I can. And my family does celebrate Easter as a religious holiday. For us, it's the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So that's what this image represents here. I just kind of Googled images of the cross, and I saw one that had some flowers around the cross, and I just kind of did my own interpretation of that with watercolor, and these simple 5-petal flowers. I hope everyone's still doing okay during this quarantine. I'm not sure if everywhere is quarantined, but I know my state is and our surrounding states are, so it's kind of weird. Kind of hard for some people. My kids are actually on their official spring break now, even though they've been doing virtual school. They're on a short break now that kind of takes place of their regular spring break, so that's been kind of nice. So I dried that layer again, and now I'm taking the lightest brown and I'm going to do a wash of the wooden cross. So now I'm just filling in that border that I had, and I'm going kind of carefully around the flowers, around the flower petals. It's really loose, and it's okay if you get them over the petals and the leaves, because it just kind of adds to the look a little bit. That's what's really nice about watercolor, in my opinion, especially this kind where it's really loose and just meant to look really flowy, as opposed to like a photorealist picture, if that makes sense. Watercolor is very new to me. I don't do it very often. In fact, I didn't start watercoloring until I got into card making. I guess you could say, a traditional artist. I've been painting on canvas with acrylic for, all of my adult life and some of my teens too. But that is my type of artistic medium that I prefer, or that I have preferred for a long time. But I've been just kind of watching a lot of YouTube videos on watercolor, and that's how I've been teaching myself. It is kind of difficult, I will say, very, very different from acrylic, but I do enjoy the process. You get some really pretty looks out of it. I do like the aesthetic that watercolor provides to a painting. I think it's very beautiful. So now I'm just going in with like kind of a second wash and darkening it up a little bit. Something that I notice with when you use markers to watercolor, they're kind of washed out. The colors aren't very saturated, which is perfect because I am doing pastel. But yeah, so I dried that again, and now I'm going in with the darker brown and just giving my cross a little outline. I definitely need to get myself a set of pan watercolors. I do have artistic tube colors, but they're really expensive, so I don't have very many colors so far. I didn't have a pink or a purple, and I don't really like the pinks or purples that you get from mixing primary colors, so I couldn't really do this painting with my tube colors. So now I'm taking a pen, just a regular black pen, nothing special, and I'm doing dots in the middle of my flowers. And now I'm going to carefully take off the tape that was holding it down. That's just in case of any warpage. And now I'm going to fussy cut out this image. So now I'm going to take a really pretty light blue panel. This is just going to fit right inside of a 4 1/4 by a 5 1/2 inch card. And I'm gluing on a piece of fun foam to the back so that it sticks up, and I don't really like wasting my tape on full panels, so I like to use the fun foam for that. So I'm just gluing that onto my panel, and then I'm going to glue it onto my card base. And you can see it leaves a little border. And now I'm going to glue on my cross. You can see I carefully cut out some fun foam to fit inside of the areas of the cross. It's kind of painstaking. It does take time, but it's kind of a nice alternative instead of using the expensive foam tape. So I'm just going to glue that down, and I'm going to hold it until it dries. I'm actually going to grab one of my larger acrylic blocks, and I'm going to set that on top and wait for it to stick down properly. And now you can see I was practicing my sentiment. I don't have any Easter stamps, so I'm doing my own here. I'm taking a pencil and a T-square ruler, and I'm going to very lightly draw a straight line so that I can get my sentiment straight, and I'm going to hand letter my sentiment. This is the pen I use. It's by Tombow, and it is a calligraphy pen. And there's the tip. It's very, very small, but it does have a slight bend in it so you can get the line variations. So I'm first going to draw it out in pencil so that I don't mess it up with the pen. There's my tip for you if you're hand lettering on something that you don't want to end up throwing away. And now I'm going to go with my pen and very slowly and carefully write out my sentiment. I did speed this up, but I went much, much slower than this in real time. And there's my finished card. I hope you guys like it and you learned a thing or two for watercoloring. Have a happy Easter.